afternoon and welcome to State of the Arts 2025. I'm Sarah Goche. I am president-elect of the board at the Acadiana Center for the Arts. I'm also an artist and an educator and a lifelong advocate for the power of arts and culture in our community. And I'm honored to open today's gathering. Before we begin, a few housekeeping things. The restrooms are open on both floors. The cafe and the galleries will be open all afternoon into the evening for your refreshments and inspiration. And if you haven't yet picked up your event pouch, please grab one. There's some good stuff inside, including some information on two very new, exciting opportunities that we're launching today. And if you picked up your pouch, you probably also picked up your free advanced copy of the current art edition. There's some great pieces in there, including some familiar names, like our very own Sam Oliver. If you haven't grabbed one yet, you can find them lingering about inside the ACA. If you need anything at all, the front desk people are here to help. Most importantly, we want to say a special thank you to all the supporters who made today possible. That's LFT Fiber and LEDA, and the Atchafalaya Natural Heritage Area, and the 705. Your leadership and investment in arts and culture make moments like today possible. So why are we here? We're here because we believe that the arts are not just entertainment, that they are infrastructure. They build identity, they foster connection, they grow our economy and our sense of meaning. So think about your favorite festival or performance or mural. Okay, that's not just art. That is a signal to the world about who we are. And it is a reminder to ourselves about what we value. So last week, I caught myself laughing as I scrolled through my phone. I've taken many photos of people in galleries and in theaters, total strangers, not even the artists or the performers, just most people I don't even know. What a creep. But here's why. Because I'm trying to capture this moment. Obviously a moment that moves me enough to take a picture of a total stranger. But it's the instant when somebody sees their child art or hears them sing a song. And it's like this light comes over them and their face shifts. They're moved. And that's the moment that I'm trying to grab, because they're not just witnessing art. They're witnessing joy and creativity and courage. So as I'm looking through these random pictures I took, I start to think, when did we lose that feeling? Like, when did we stop being wowed by art, and when did we start taking it for granted? I think part of that answer is because we don't always see the full picture. We know that art is important and it matters emotionally, because that we feel. But it also matters economically and socially and civically. It's valuable. And that's what today is about. We are here today to remember and reframe and refocus on how culture strengthens Acadiana's economy, it builds stronger communities, and it helps attract and retain the talent our region needs to thrive. We are a beacon of creativity in the South, but we can't coast on that legacy. We have to lead with it. And that means we have to bring all of the stakeholders together and connect all the dots between business and government and education and health and philanthropy, because art lives at the core and we all have a role to play. And to play that role and to tell the full story and to keep that feeling alive, we need the right tools. And that's what we hope to give you today. Data, language, stories, and direction. Which brings us to our first session of the day. In just a moment, we'll welcome the Lafayette Economic Development Authority, who will present new economic data showing the measurable impacts of arts and culture in our region. This is the kind of insight that turns belief into policy and passion into investments. And before the day is done, I also invite you to take a moment to do one small but meaningful step. Yes, homework. You should have a postcard like this near your seat or in your pouch, or they're also scattered about, I believe. And I want you to write something that you'll do, support, or advocate for. And then you can address it to yourself or to somebody else who might need a little nudge. And then you go ahead and add it to the commitment wall out there. And in a couple of weeks, we'll mail them out to you. Because we don't want today's inspiration to go away after today. It deserves to last. So let's get inspired, and let's get informed, and let's get to work together. Now, please help me welcome the incredible Mandi Mitchell, President and CEO of Lafayette Economic Development Authority, for some brief remarks, followed by Lafayette Economic Development Authority's Economic Competitiveness, Director of Economic Competitiveness. Thank you. I'm going to try that again. LEDA's Director of Economic Competitiveness, Brittany Deal, with a short presentation. They'll both be joined by ACA's Director, Sam Oliver, and Lead Center's Jonathan Shirley. Take it away, Mandi.
Love me some Sarah. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. Sam, Anna, Sarah, y'all's entire team, thank y'all for doing today's symposium and hosting this important gathering to discuss arts and culture and the impact that arts and culture have on our community, on our quality of life, and on the vibrancy that we are so proud of here in Lafayette. You'll hear a little bit more of my thoughts whenever we have the opportunity to serve on the panel with Jonathan and with Sam. And so at this moment, I have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Brittany Deal, who is an integral team member at the Lafayette Economic Development Authority. Brittany has been at LEDA for over 10 years now. She is our Director of Economic Competitiveness, and that's a fancy word to say constantly looking around at what we are doing strategically to ensure Lafayette always has a competitive advantage. She leads our teams that are responsible for business intelligence, research, planning and redevelopment, which is something new in LEDA's toolkit, a new area that we are embarking upon, supporting redevelopment and revitalization work, which ties into things like the arts, public art, and so many other opportunities. Our site certification initiatives and special projects. Brittany has a number of distinguished certifications, one of them being a nationally certified economic developer and a certified economic research professional. And she was selected as one of Acadiana's top 20 under 40. She is an alum of Leadership Lafayette. Is it class 32? Is that right? Okay. And then also Leadership Louisiana alum from 2024, although the best class was in 2005. So, Brittany, I will turn the stage over to you so you can share what we have learned in our updated impact data on CREATE. Brittany?
It's a lot of statistics, so I do have my note cards here. Thank y'all for having us. Really, it's been a pleasure and a labor of love to be able to update our economic impact study, which was originally done in 2015-2016 with partnership of UL and Dr. Wesley Austin. I'll go ahead and jump right in. The culture as a catalyst, the economic power of Lafayette's cultural sector. So culture is not a luxury, it's infrastructure. It's quality of life, it's community development, it's talent attraction and retention, it's a necessity. Lafayette's cultural economy is not just a side story, but more of a core economic activity engine. On a global level, Forbes magazine believes that and estimates that creative economy as a sector could be worth up to 10% of the world's GDP by 2030. That's only a few years away. Hence the creation of the CREATE initiative, started in 2015 under previous leadership. So what is the cultural economy? Let's spell it out. C, culture, festivals, museums, cultural preservation, heritage museums. Think about Festival Acadiana or the ACA, which we're all sitting in today. Oops, let's go back. R, recreation, parks, nature trails, attractions, public spaces like Azalea Trail or our beautiful Monkus Park. E, for entertainment, film, music, events, live performances. How many of us got to see Yin Yang Twins at Patty in the Park? Or have been an extra in a Lifetime movie filmed right here in downtown? A, for arts, visual arts, crafts, design, literature, architecture, like Dirk Gidry's latest sculpture or Philip Gould's last photo book. Tourism, hotels, restaurants, local transportations. A few weekends ago, my husband and I did a staycation. We stayed at the DoubleTree and we took a couple of out-of-town friends to Don's. That's tourism. E, economy, food production, digital media, and creative technologies, like Best Stop, who's shipping their boudin nationwide now, or Twins, who's given us gingerbread men year-round. I'm really excited about that one. It's broader than just festivals and galleries. It's a web of interconnected economic activity. Now the impact. The 2024 numbers that we all came to see. The jobs that account for the cultural economy are at 26,739. That's about 13% of all the jobs in Lafayette MSA. The earnings exceed $1.1 billion of people working in those sectors. That's 31% of all household earning in Lafayette MSA. And then the total economic impact is at a whopping $2.6 billion, and that accounts for over 9% of all the total gross domestic product for Lafayette MSA. How do we break that down? We have three main industries that we look at to pull jobs for the cultural economy. Arts, entertainment, and social goods at more than 14,000 jobs account for 52% of all those cultural economy jobs. Food production includes agriculture only as a subsector. Next is food production at almost 9,000 jobs. We're looking at 33% of the total jobs in cultural economy. That includes performing arts, sports and museums, amusements and gambling, accommodations and food services and drinking places as subsectors. And then last, but definitely not least, the information sector with 3,700 jobs accounting for 14% of our cultural economy jobs. And that includes publishing, motion pictures and recording, broadcasting and telecommunications, and data processing and internet services. How does that compare to our original study that we did almost 8 years ago? In 2016, we had over 33,000 jobs accounting for our cultural economy. That's down 21% to the 26,000 number. Household earnings have increased by over 11%, from $1 billion to $1.1 billion. The total economic impact jumped 75%, from $1.5 to $2.6 billion. And I know a lot of people may be like, well, we lost jobs, but why did everything else increase? And that's okay, because it's been 8 years. We've gone through a global pandemic. We've had economic shifts that have outgrown and overexceeded forecasts and expectations. RIMS multipliers are the measures that we use to calculate economic impacts, and they are based traditionally off the growth of our CPI, our Consumer Price Index. That just means inflation, which grows by 2% year over year. So they have increased. Salaries have overall increased by more than 30% on average just in these job sectors alone, except for agriculture. Those have decreased by 17%, but still offering us a net positive. I also mentioned that the Lafayette MSA has undergone a redrawing at the census level. Lafayette MSA usually accounts for 5 different parishes: Lafayette, Acadia, Vermilion, St. Martin, and Iberia Parish. But last year, they dropped Iberia Parish from our MSA, leaving us with only 4 parishes to account for our new numbers. In our methodology of our report, we like to use the analogy that a stone dropped in water creates ripples that move outward. Cultural spending flows through Lafayette's economy in multiple waves, and we describe those as direct effects, indirect effects, and induced effects. We look at jobs in festivals, food, arts, tourism, all the sectors mentioned before, as the direct effect. We measure this impact by the number of jobs. The indirect effects account for the suppliers, the servicers, the local vendors who support those initial sectors. And then the induced effects count for the respending of those workers and how it moves and flows throughout our community. So culture flows throughout the entire local community. And then finally, why does this matter? It fuels tourism, jobs, and innovation. It strengthens our local business ecosystem. It enhances Lafayette's unique identity and economic resilience. It boosts talent attraction and retention, and it elevates Lafayette's industry diversification efforts that we've been going hard for over a decade now. Supporting culture is a smart economic strategy. And that's all. When we do release the final reports, it will likely be on our website and our social media pages. So follow us if you don't already follow LEDA. Plug.
Let's go take a seat. We'll see how we go.
Brittany,
Is that better?
kicking us off with that presentation.
That's a maybe.
Okay, we're in.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
No, I'm gonna send it back to you, Jonathan.
I appreciate that. My name is Jonathan Shirley, so I've got the pleasure of moderating this wonderful panel of digging into numbers, but I want to start because as we were opening and we were talking about this feeling, the only thing I could think about if we were to describe the feeling is awe. And a book came out in 2024 that I pretended to read part of. So it's called Awe: the Science of Everyday Wonder and How It Can Transform Your Life. And it defined awe, and I like this, so I wrote it down. Awe is the feeling of being in the presence of something vast that transcends your understanding of the world. And I like that it uses big, powerful, like vast, not big, transcends, not change, because that's what it can do. And whether it's whether you're in the presence of something that your kid did, or the first bowstring of a performance, or the first line that comes out of a musical or a play, or something that you know, where you truly, or you're outside and you're in, you know, some of the trails, and you're just in the presence of something that makes you maybe think about something differently. Maybe you think about a person or a performance, or as we go through this, you know, in the back of our minds, maybe the rest of the day, like thinking about, when was the last time that you were in awe? And what did that feeling do for you? Think about it, and then you can email me and we'll talk about it. That'll never happen. So I wanted to start off with this question of, when you first saw the report, did something stand out to you because we sort of got a wonderful presentation of kind of an overview, but as you maybe looked at it, what stood out? And so, Bain, I'm going to start with you because Brittany, you already talked, and so did you, Sam. So
I'll jump in. Okay, can y'all hear me okay? It's on?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So as an economic developer, anytime I see data with job losses, red flashing lights, I'm like, wait, yo, that is not cool. What is going on? So we dug into it a little further, and there are a lot of things happening besides what Brittany already shared about our MSA, Economic Development Jargon, Metropolitan Statistical Area. It's one of the ways the federal government keeps track of tons of data. We lost a parish, so there's that, but that doesn't account for the entire bucket of job losses. Other things were happening, and unfortunately, probably some of these things are still happening. Drastic reductions in public funding, in public funds for art and culture and recreation. The NEA's budget, I think, has been standstill, if not maybe a little bit lower over a number of years. And then when you look at inflation and other things happening, so there's that. The pandemic did a number on plenty of sectors, but especially in the arts, for small arts support organizations, performing arts, and other production industries that bring the arts to life. Some were able to survive the extended closures and lockdowns, but others just did not come back. And that's a significant, that played a significant role in some of those job losses. And if you're an artist, that term, starving artist, it's real. And so you may not have had the resources to withstand months on end of not being able to produce and interact with people and potential consumers of your work. And something else too that it bothers me is declining arts education in our public schools. I see, we see this increase in teaching to the standardized test. And so that leaves little time for things like arts and physical education, and that's problematic. But what happens there is for disadvantaged kids who may not be able to, their parents may not be able to afford violin or piano lessons, well then they're missing out on those opportunities to tap in that part of their brain. But not just that, it's sort of creating a decline in interest in consuming the arts. So that is a problem, and it does have a ripple effect. And I also saw something where younger millennials and Gen Z, and I think it's changing now with Gen Z and for sure Gen Alpha, but those younger millennials were more interested in like digital media, if you will, and less interested in consuming the arts in real life, like in person. So there's a lot of things at play. So that, I really wanted to know why, because as an economic developer, I don't like seeing jobs do this. But the economic impact held. Part of that, inflation, but that's why we have Sam.
Yeah,
and
but
else.
not to the degree of
We're gonna turn-
75%.
Yeah.
Can I just add on to that too? So I mean, yeah, it hit me like a bomb, when I saw that number drop off, and I've been really reflecting on it because, well, what really happened? And of course, a few things, I can assume happened. One, the entire, industries that are defined there have shifted. I don't know if it contains just things like W-2 jobs or if it's 1099 contract workers. I think about the gig economy, and creative work oftentimes falls more and more and more into contract-based work not, full-time employment or what's considered oftentimes as employment. You're making money, you're a professional, but you're not registered as an employee. And two is, our creative workforce globally is our most mobile workforce. They're not rooted to an employer that's based in an office that's saying, y'all got to show up here on Monday, otherwise, go get a job somewhere else. It's a creative workforce that is either, bringing people from all over the world to them or, selling their product either in person by maybe going perform or selling it, online to the international marketplace. That's a very mobile workforce. And so, I just know that while, we are desperate to invest and create the support systems that are needed for people to choose to live and build their creative career here, we know that we are in a competition for those people. And it's a competition with some of the biggest metropolitan areas in the country that have way, way more resources than us to do that. But we need to really invest in our competitive advantages towards building a cultural workforce here that does compete and that grows. My third observation in that too is 20% fewer people are doing a lot more work.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because that economic output number is that much higher, much, much higher than the relative inflation. So just seeing that too was interesting because, I think about the hardworking community that is here, and I wouldn't doubt that number for a second.
Yeah. I think you start to, the ability to do work anywhere can make it difficult whenever you're trying to get the numbers from a job standpoint because, hey, listen, like maybe it does, can we be super attractive to live here and do work virtually other places? Absolutely, because if you'd rather, you live in Minnesota, nothing against Minnesota, but it's real cold there in the wintertime, and maybe you just want to live here instead and do your work anywhere else. I love Minnesota. Please
Minnesota has the highest
Please don't tell
arts
Minnesota.
funding of
Yeah,
any
please
state
don't
in the
tell
United
Minnesota.
States per capita.
That's funny. But yes, just to elaborate off the last thing that Sam said, is because a lot of those jobs are now requiring more skilled labor and higher tech-driven acuity to be able to take on some of these jobs. Is this on? Okay. Yeah. So that's why folks are making higher salaries in some of these roles, taking that on. And like Mandi mentioned, it also just challenges our assumption as economic developers that in terms of jobs, that quantity outweighs quality. But now we're looking at the flip side and seeing that economic quality and wage robustness are the central indicators for this type of work.
Absolutely. And I would be remiss to not thank you, Brittany, for bringing the Yin Yang twins to this conversation. Like, I blocked out for a little bit to what you were saying because I was like, yeah, they were here. And like, they should be here. Like, maybe they're here now. All right, so we move into other, anyway. One of the things that I think there is opportunity for partnerships, especially as we look at, okay, so we've got these reports, but the report doesn't walk down the street every day like we do, all the creative people who are doing things. And so, partnerships between the cultural, creative economy and healthcare, education, where might be some maybe cross-sector opportunities where this creative economy can also partner up with some of these other maybe more traditional or different sectors.
So I'll jump in just because I have been spending a ton of time on dreaming up revitalization and redevelopment in our community. And I know, for example, Claire at Basin Arts is leading an initiative with a number of our artists in the community for public art along the University Avenue corridor. So that right there is going to be a phenomenal partnership when you look at an infrastructure revitalization initiative, but then putting a bow on it with public art that is reflective of who we are here in this community. So you think about the University Avenue exit, most oftentimes if you use Waze or Google Maps and you're not from here and you're dropping your kid off for their freshman year at school, that's the exit you're gonna take, and it'll take you straight to UL Lafayette. And so, I mean, that corridor should be reflective of who Lafayette, Louisiana is as a community. So, I mean, that's one example that really comes to my mind. The Four Corners, the mural there, I mean, the list goes on. I would like to see more public art in, throughout the community. The other thing is, and this is something that ACA is especially adept at, and that's arts and education, right? And so, the schools, because of federal mandates, well, they've got to, if they want to get the money to run the school, they got to follow the federal mandates, which means you deprioritize the arts and physical education, and unfortunately, over the last couple of decades, things like tech, career and tech ed, vocational, which we're feeling the pain now for that, because we need a bunch of infrastructure and not many people know what to do with a hammer and a nail. That's a whole other conversation. But back to the arts and education, I think about myself coming from, I didn't think we were poor, but we were lower income. I didn't miss a meal, but we were low income when I was growing up. My mom couldn't have afforded a saxophone, but my brother and I both played the saxophone throughout school, and he was much better than me. I'm still jealous to this day. I cannot pick up a saxophone now and play, but he can.
We're about to find out. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he can, and it makes me very mad that I can't do it. But if you think about children who need access to the arts for so many reasons, and I just think it's a massive opportunity, when you think about arts and education. So.
Oh, yes. I mean, and thank you for saying that, too. We're ACA, as the Arts Council for the Acadiana region, we've been doing work in the Lafayette Parish public schools for almost 50 years now, and that just looks like supplementing what they're able to do, The school has so many teachers, they've got to teach certain kinds of subjects, and then suddenly there's gaps and they're not able to provide access to visual art, music, dance, theater, creative expression, and learning those things, because they're muscles that you've got to, work out, just like physical education. So ACA has been partnered with Lafayette Parish School System for almost 50 years to fill in the gaps, hiring and training teaching artists from our community to go and actually deliver those classes in schools and small groups, and just put on performances, have those cultural exposure moments that sometimes just open doors for people. You don't know that you can't like something or appreciate something that you've never been exposed to even once. So even just those moments of exposure. I went to, I'm a Lafayette Parish public school kid myself. I went to Woodvale Elementary. Whoop,
Hey,
whoop.
public school.
I went to Woodvale Elementary, and in kindergarten, in the cafeteria one day, there was, they brought us all in, and there was a jazz performance. It was a trio. I could remember it like it was yesterday. Alongside just actually seeing this trio perform, we learned a few things that were happening at the same time, which is one, they weren't just playing a song that they knew, they were improvising. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool thing. I've never seen that. I've never heard of that even happening. And two, you could clap while they were playing. That also blew my mind. And when I was 5 years old, I saw this amazing jazz performance, and that kind of, just that exposure stuck with me. So later in my life, when the opportunities arose for me to see something like that, I would take it. Opportunities that I would have never taken because I didn't know I enjoyed it. I didn't know that it was exciting. I didn't know how to appreciate it in the first place. I went on to work for the Edinburgh International Jazz and Blues Festival. So that one little experience, took me across the ocean, and it really took me back here to Lafayette, to this role at the Acadiana Center for the Arts. So those little moments of exposure are really important. And ACA's partnership programs, which we have expanded now, we will be in 5 parishes in every single public school this fall. And I want to give a massive shout out to Dr. Kip Schumacher and Carolyn Doral Schumacher for their support of that expansion. Really would not be possible without them, frankly, just saying, do it. And of course, putting support behind that. But the challenge, was even more supportive than the funds themselves. So, we have to challenge ourselves to fix that number, Mandy. Sure. So let's do that next.
The challenge of clapping during a performance is that if you end up on the 1s and 3s, like, you're gonna get a view. Like, you're gonna get, like,
That's
you
the other
know.
thing that people need to learn.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, not that that's ever happened to me, but Brittany. Oh,
Just to kind of elaborate a little bit more on what they were talking about, I think we have a huge opportunity for placemaking in our community, identifying our places of cultural reference around. I want to know when I'm driving through the oil center, or when I've reached Oasis Coterie, or any of those special things, and partnering with schools could be an opportunity, partnering with the local government, with local organizations, both private industry and nonprofit. That can be an opportunity for folks to really see and express how our collective uniqueness makes what Lafayette special.
And I have one other important one, selfishly for LEDA, because it's our job to bring.
That's not
more,
selfish. You're
more
helping
bu-
everybody.
That's right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For more business recruitment and talent recruitment. And you know what, you can't really put a number on this, but has anyone heard Brian McDonald tell the story of why SchoolMint chose Lafayette out of 14 cities when we weren't even on their original list? They were down here to kind of take a look. They were doing the smell test on a company they were going to acquire. And they spent some time here and was like, why is this community not on our list? We got on the list, and then we won. So SchoolMint is here, and they're growing, and they're one of the best ed tech companies in the country. And so that's just one example. So it's more qualitative, but from a business recruitment standpoint, man, I could name people that I've said, if you're gonna visit our community and think about moving your company here, the best time is like that last weekend in April or in the fall when Festival Acadiana is going on. I'm like, let me help you select the best time that you want to come. And so, that's when you see all of Lafayette in its splendor. You see the melting pot. You see how we're welcoming to all cultures. You see our local food artistry and capabilities from a food perspective. So business recruitment, but also talent retention and attraction. You have to have a place that is desirable to live and to be. Now, we have one of the best sticky factors in the state and in the country.
Are you talking about Boudin?
I'm just talking about communities where people really don't want to leave home, but they might because of a job, a promotion or something. You can only go to some other place, but they almost always make their way back. So from a talent retention and talent attraction perspective, we have a lot to offer. And now I'm going to shout out the dance community. I'm just thinking about.
thank you.
Yes, dance moms. Hey, dance moms. But I'm thinking about going to a performance like the Creole Nutcracker, for example. There's nothing like it anywhere else. And so where we're marrying up this unique sound and music that we make only here with the art of dance. So, I just had to put that in there. Business recruitment, talent attraction, and retaining our folks here. There's these immersive opportunities in the arts that I know I leverage it like crazy. And I know my economic development colleagues in the region, when Acadiana and my counterparts in other parishes, we lean in with that. Like, I'm gonna go give you the textbook of the business environment and the incentives we have to offer, but I would rather show someone what it's like to live here.
Absolutely. So I want to look at a year from now. A year from now we get together on stage again. The carpets may be different, but like everything else is the same. And then you will have had one action, one kind of collective thing that you can kind of spearhead or lead.
Just
and
one?
maybe it's around, just one, because we don't have that kind of time. But maybe it's policy, or if it's funding, or if it's a partnership or education or whatever it is, that you feel like, hey, this effort could move the needle and do something significant. We talk about the difference between, I don't want to make an impression, I want to make an impact, because an impression gets washed away, like this morning, and so how do we do something that's longer standing? And so I'm going to let you think about it while I tell you that I feel like that we need to make it easier for people to see themselves as creatives. I think that we immediately wall off people whenever we say that, well, you can be in this space if you can sing or play music or paint or sculpt or perform on stage or whatever it is, instead of really tapping into, hey, there's a reason why like they teach you ABCs with a song, because at our core, we know two things. We love creativity, and we love fire. Like at our core of a human being. Fire because you don't exist as a person if you couldn't start fire 3 million years ago. That's just the way it is. But from the creativity piece, it's everything. It's every day in your workplace figuring out, how do I solve this when I don't have all the information I need? How do I get along with this person? How do I show this person that I care? Or whatever it might be. For me, it's how do I pack things into my kid's bento box lunch thing, because God forbid the strawberries like touch the turkey. Like, oh no.
That is a real
That's
issue
a real,
for
this is
Maven.
real problems. Like we're here for real
There's
things.
a whole nother panel about
Yeah,
that.
exactly. A whole nother panel on like fruit and meat separation. But the more that we can have people see themselves as creatives and therefore involved, the more likely they are to care. Like you said, like it was the exposure at Woodvale that gave you an awe moment that it ended up encouraging you to do these other things. But so you don't care about it if you don't see yourself in it. And so that's mine, but you can do whatever you want to do.
That's a tough
It was
act
real
to
good,
follow.
though. Like I was excited
Like
about
you
it.
stole mine.
It was mostly, yeah. I
You're
saw
in
what
my
you wrote
head.
down.
No, I'm teasing. That's hard. And then you're going to tell me one thing.
You don't have to go first.
Yeah, I'm not going first.
Thank you, Sam.
Well, there are two things, but one we're going to do anyway.
He's cheating.
Well, I mean, one that we are doing anyway, which is, growing the top of that funnel of people who go into that funnel and go down it, and maybe they just learn to care and love something about creativity and culture. And maybe they go all the way to the bottom of the funnel and they become an artist or a creative entrepreneur or, you name it. But we need to grow the top of that funnel. So, I mean, in this upcoming year, yeah, we're gonna have meaningful arts experiences for more than 50,000 students in this community, in this region. So, we won't be able to give them each all of the care and attention and, real like feeding of that creative spirit that they deserve, but we can at least give them the matches to maybe light the fire.
Fire.
So we're gonna do that. The fire.
I don't know,
of
you just talked
inspiration.
about giving a lot of kids matches,
Yeah,
and I was like,
well.
No.
But we're going to give that that inspiration. We're going to give that opportunity,
It's a metaphor.
and we'll do that at a massive scale, which I think is going to be really it means something every year that we do it, and it grows every year. But I think on the other end of that whole funnel, that's where I really want to see some new action, because that equates to those jobs. Yeah. So I want to help 5 creative artists, musicians, you name it, who don't know that they are a business, realize that they are a business. And as a business, they have an opportunity to grow, to employ not just themselves part-time, but themselves full-time in their creative pursuit, and others as a part of a machine that can grow and that can, sustain them and bring real growth to those numbers and to this community.
Yeah,
That's what I want to do in the next 12 months.
and that's a huge,
Shameless plug for Art Spark.
Absolutely.
So, you want to say what Art Spark is?
So, I mean, one of our big partnerships with LEDA is the Art Spark program, an initiative that provides seed funding towards creative businesses. So Art Spark has been, operating. We've been recognized with international awards for this program. It's gone on for more than 10 years. But we have some special announcements today, too, about some new initiatives around not just funding and seeding creative businesses and creative entrepreneurs, but really providing the tools and the training and the propulsion that's needed to get them from just, being a creative to being a creative who wants to go down a path, the hard path of being an entrepreneur who, starts and grows a business.
for sure. I mean, to jump in, when you talk about the path, I can't help but take advantage of this opportunity, is that I believe the biggest thing is that the longest and most important journey you ever take in your life is only 18 inches long, and it's the distance between your head and your heart. You can't find people who are more heart forward than artists. And so if this is why I get up in the morning, then this is how do I make sure that I have a bed at night. Like, right? And so traveling that journey is long and hard, and you can't do it by yourself, but that's what your life's work is. You know, and so, yeah, programs like ArtSpark and the stuff later today, you know, I'm excited about that because that's it, man. Like, if you can travel that, and if you can kind of see yourself in this economy, because that's what for so many of our creatives, you don't always see yourself in the economy, and therefore, how do you make money if you don't see yourself there? And I am very much a proponent of making money. Not because I work for the business college, Lily Sand, but but you gotta live to eat and eat to live. Like, so that needs to be a part of it. But I also understand like arts and economics sometimes butt heads from the beginning. But instead, it's how do we walk that journey together, understanding that I need this in my life forever, but I also need to make money. Okay, sorry. All right, Brittany, because you didn't want to go first, Amanda, so you get to go last.
Well, this answer is kind of easy for me because it's my answer like in every room I sit in. It would be an initiative of awareness. Are people aware of the things that are happening in our community, the opportunities that exist? Are they aware of bare walls and the opportunity to sell their items, their art off of walls of businesses? Are they aware of ArtSpark and those opportunities? So it's not just as simple as making a social media post anymore. You got to go post on the wall at Izzo's while people are standing in line to get their nachos, or you got to put it up on the bulletins of the churches, and you have to go stand outside of supermarkets and pass out pamphlets or information so that people can just have an awareness all around. Send out those blast phone calls, send out those random text messages that we all kind of ignore sometimes, but some people read them. So just building some type of ecosystem of awareness would probably be one of my first things.
Okay, and we have been given the Sam the Man sign that we better wrap it up. So I'm not going to belabor the point, ditto, 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 but for me, I think a lot about youth. I think a lot about children. I have a 5-year-old, and we're blessed that the school she's in, an integral part of her learning journey is art and exposure to performing arts, visual arts, you name it. And so I think about photographers, film producers, the dancers, musicians, you name it. Like you said, these folks, first of all, see yourself as a creator, and you're producing something that will uplift all of us, but also, you know, marry it up with potential economic opportunity for yourself that could blossom into something for the community. I do also want to give a shout out to Mayor President Monique Boulay, who she and I have had so many conversations about how there is no place like Lafayette, Louisiana, and Acadiana because of our culture. And why aren't more of us leaning on that and putting that forward? And so to that end, the mayor's working on the first thing, the Sound Music City Census, just looking at what all assets do we have in this community around music, and how can we highlight that? You're getting ready to do a museum. And, you know, so there's so many things that we can highlight about in our community that we can share with the rest of the world how awesome this place is. And so I'm excited about the arts. I can't get enough of it. I wish I could have two things: more time, because Brittany will tell you I'm a workaholic. The cleaning people are always shoving me out of the building. So I can't come take advantage of my membership here and come see Trombone Shorty sometimes because I'm still at work. Time and then money, because if we had more money, we wouldn't be limited with the number of people we could support with ArtSpark. So find me some time and money.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Jonathan.
She's
Yeah,
serious.
how dare
I'm
you?
putting that on you.
How dare you? I don't have any more money. I don't, not on me right now. But clearly, there's some opportunity that's in front of us, but it's gonna take being willing to be courageous and you gotta be a little dangerous. You gotta be willing to be wrong. Oscar Wilde said that an idea that is not dangerous is not worthy of being called an idea. That's where we have to live now. That's the only option. We're gonna try this, and we're willing to try this because no one else is willing to go there. So often you've got, hey, let's just cut and paste. It worked in Nashville to work here. It worked in whatever, Charlotte, it'll work here. All this cut and paste nonsense. Instead of going, all right, yeah, that's good, and we can take some pieces, but we gotta make it Acadiana's. We gotta make it ours by adding boudin, if nothing else.
And another quote,
Chicken crackling.
there we go.
That's fine, whatever.
The musician Jordan Thibodeau, international touring artist, lives right here in this community. His phrase is, if you're not living your culture, you're killing your culture.
Sure.
Because I think there's that death through apathy.
Sure.
I think it's through not being intentional and not making it a priority, things can shrink. Because it doesn't happen by accident and it doesn't happen on its own. It happens through a lot of work. And I think if we can make it a priority to grow our culture and our cultural economy, and we make it a priority across institutions and as entities that really want this place to thrive and grow, if we make it a priority, we'll find creative ways to change these numbers.
We'll find, absolutely. Our culture, every day, everyone moves your culture forward or backwards. You're on an incline all the time. There is no there is no maintaining. All right, I think maybe that there was a time where we were going to take a question, but I don't know if that's still true.
I stole that other microphone.
Yeah, that was, or you can have as much time as you want.
We can do one question.
Absolutely.
I've got one for Kathy Povey. One second.
One question. I'm going to throw the microphone to someone.
And it's coming around with a microphone.
Where does the cultural economy land as far as other economic drivers, or where does it rank as far as healthcare, technology, energy and gas, et cetera? And then another question has to do with the workforce or the job loss. That was over 8-year period, is that right? Did it dip, and is it going back up, or is it on a steady decline?
It's definitely been on a steady decline. And I'll also say, to your first part of your question, oh, yes. So that's hard for us. We thought about that when putting together the presentation, but it's hard to do because it crosses sectors. So I can't put it under healthcare, but because it includes some healthcare numbers. I can't put it next to retail because it includes retail numbers. So in the grand scheme of things, could we probably put it somewhere on the chart? Yes, but we haven't, just because we don't like to.
Yeah, that
give
is a tough
falsity
one
to it.
with where it stands. Because, for example, if you think about content creators, they can fall under information at the same time that clear-cut art, depending on what type of content they're creating. So it's a little difficult. We've also seen some data. We'll share it from our Lieutenant Governor's office. So when I was at Louisiana Economic Development, we wanted to know that very same thing. And so we did our very best and looked at across industry sectors and tried to pull in any and everything that had to do with culture and art. And there is some data that we can share with you from our Lieutenant Governor's office. And I'll tell you, from Acadiana, from any region, but particularly Acadiana and Orleans, culture carries significant weight in our economy. And is Ben Berthelot here? I bet you Ben could tell you how heavily our culture plays a role in our tourism impact data. So it's hard to put a finger on, and we can give you qualitative all day, but it has a significant impact in Louisiana, but particularly in Acadiana and Orleans. Give it up for the best moderator in the world.
Well, easy.